Welcome back to part 2 of the 3 ounce pure gold bar refining. Here's what's in our filter. You can see there is a little bit of a few particles of gold, so we'll put that in our paper storage. The gold has been allowed to settle completely, and what we'll do now is pour off this waste solution. Alright, here's what the gold looks like after our first refining. I'm adding some distilled water to the gold, and what we'll do is we'll set it up on the heat back here and allow this to boil a few times in plain distilled water. I've boiled the gold in distilled water and in some hydrochloric acid. Now we're going to pour this last distilled water boil off into our waste container. Alright, this is what the gold looks like now. It looks a lot different now that we've boiled it in water and hydrochloric acid. Let's move this out of the way, and we're going to get set up to dissolve the gold a second time. Let's add a little hydrochloric acid. Take it up to about the 300 milliliter level. Let's shed some light on this reaction. A small squirt of sulfuric acid. That's for the lead, if any is present. Now what I'll do is I'll measure out about 30 milliliters of nitric acid, and we're going to dump this right on in, and we're going to try to dissolve this gold a second time. Here goes the nitric acid. It's cranking along pretty good. I'm going to add some heat. Everybody asks, why don't we put any chemicals in here to neutralize excess nitric acid? And this is a perfect example of why we don't do that. We've got most of this gold dissolved You still got a few little pieces left in there. Or what we're going to try to do now, I've got nitric acid. I've got a few drops in the bottom of this pipette. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to zoom in on this thing. And let's add these last few drops of nitric in here and watch what happens. This is why this is called incremental nitric dosing. And if we do this correctly, what we'll end up with is a solution that doesn't have any excess nitric in it. And since it doesn't have any excess nitric in it, there's no need to add any reagents to kill the excess nitric, because there's none in there to kill. And what we're doing is adding just a few drops at a time of nitric acid towards the end of the reaction. I'm going to get a couple more drops in my pipette. Just a little bit. See that much? I'm going to add these in real slow because it's real hot. But you'll see that that should be enough to completely dissolve the remaining gold in that beaker. Incremental nitric acid dosing. If we do it correctly, there's no excess nitric to deal with. We've got the gold to dissolve completely. Now what we'll do is pull it down off the heat and let it cool down. Almost got it pulled through, but what we're going to do something a little different here. Mrs. Three Tips bought this for me at a yard sale, but it's hard as a brick bat in there. I mean, it's not powder in any way, shape, or form. Used to be, but it's clumped and caked together. Got some hot water. We're going to add some hot water to this. Make sure it ain't gonna come flying up out of there at me. It's just hot distilled water. And we're gonna try to dissolve the SMB. Oh yeah, it's hard, man. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. I can tell it's SMB, but it's so hard, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it to a state where I can add it to the gold to precipitate the gold out. Stump out by bonide. Yeah, it's dissolving. We've got all our gold pulled through this filter. The solution looks most butaminous. Nothing in the filter. So what we'll do now is take and get our gold out of here. Let's get the filter out of the way first. Now let's rinse that off. Now let's transfer the gold bearing solution into a clean beaker. Let's add a couple ice cubes to this. I always add ice if there's 2 or more troy ounces because it could heat up a little bit and create problems. I should do it. I'm going to fold a filter paper here, make it fluted. These fluted filter papers flow a little quicker than normally folded filter papers. Fold it like a paper airplane. Do that again and again. Then we open it up and fold it in like this, in like this, back on itself, and there we've got a perfect fan fold filter paper. Let me wet the filter paper a little bit here. And now we're going to start adding the stump out. Didn't dissolve completely, but I think there's enough in there to do this reaction. Try it and see what happens here. Just going to pour this right on into the Here it comes. Well, that's pretty neat. Seems to be working okay. Pour a little bit more juice in our funnel up here. I may have to add some water. If we don't have enough in liquid form, we can just throw a couple spoons in on top of this. It's near the bottom now, down there. You can see the bottom of the beaker is still liquid. It's clear, sort of. Kind of a neat reaction. Different. That appears to have worked okay. I'm going to give this a stir by just swirling it around in here. I can still see some yellow in that solution, so what we're going to do is lift this up, get a little bit on this filter paper, and test it with stannous. I can tell you right now there's going to be gold left in there. I can see it on the paper, Boom. See that dark stain? Means we still got plenty of gold in solution in there. It's working. You can see the gold building up on the bottom of the beaker. But now we're having getting ready to have a contact issue with the funnel. So let me do this. I've got a little spacer here. Hope this thing fits. Does not. Alright, I've got a different size spacer. That'll work. That'll keep it up. Keep the stem of the funnel up out of the solution. I'm pretty sure we got it all by now. We're gonna reach in here and give this a stir. Stir it up real good. Yeah, I can tell all the gold has been precipitated. You can tell by the way it's looking on the surface there. The only way to be sure is get a stannous test. Let's see what we got here. And you can tell by that negative stannous test, all the gold has been precipitated. I've allowed the gold to settle. So now what we'll do is pour off the waste solution into my waste container. I'm adding some distilled water. And we'll set it up on the heat now over here. And see if we can get all the chemicals rinsed off of here. Boil it in some distilled water. I've got the gold all rinsed off. What we'll do now is transfer this into a dish so that we can dry it off. Let's go ahead and transfer this now down into a melt dish, fluffy and powdered. We were expecting 86.2 grams of pure gold. Look at that thing. Had a little lip come over the edge of the cavity there because we had more gold than I anticipated. Very nice. Let's see, we were expecting 86.2. Our actual yield 86.9. So we got a little bit over this time, which doesn't happen very often, but we'll take it. All right, this will conclude part 2 of the 3 troy ounce gold bar refining. Thank you for watching.